So in the world of plants, there are a lot of viruses, pests, fungal infections, and viroids that we need to avoid that can infect our plants and affect our yields, the health of our plants, and overall just cause a lot of problems. Now, whether your plants are symptomatic or asymptomatic, it is very important to get your plants tested. But to avoid the spread of things in the first place, I am going to compile a couple of tips to help keep your garden safe, and if your plants do have pathogens, to not spread them to your other plants and help quarantine them even if they are in the same grow space. A couple of things that are going to keep your plants safe. If you are limited to one grow space, hopefully being able to keep the pathogens at bay and hopefully being able to have this not be an issue. Now, if you do test and your plant does have a pathogen or some kind of virus or fungal infection or something like that, it is probably a good idea to think about culling that plant. However, if you are doing testing later in the plant's life and the specific type of pathogen you have isn't going to affect your health, it may not be a huge issue at that point if it's just too late to know, and you might as well just finish it off. It might not be that big of a deal for you, but to avoid the spread so you don't harm the rest of your plants, we are going to go over this list of things that can help you keep them at bay. And the inspiration for this episode or this video is actually an episode of Mr. Growit's podcast, which I will have linked down in the description below if you want to listen to someone who is a lot smarter than me talk about the pathogens and viruses and viroids and all that good stuff to avoid it in your garden, and also get some helpful tips to actually find tests to get your plants safe. Now, without further ado, step 1, do not share water with your plants. A lot of pathogens and viroids and such like that will spread in water if they are shared. So this goes for hydroponic systems as well as clone domes. If your plants have cross-contaminated water, a lot of these viruses like to be spread and chill out in the water and get to your other plants, then affecting them, stunting their growth, curling their leaves, lessening their yield, and overall destroying their health. Now, if they are asymptomatic, you may not even know that your plant has it. It's a good idea that if you have the means to get every single one of your plants tested to ensure that your plants are not sick. Now, the reason I put so much stress on getting every single plant tested is because the majority of grows in the United States and in the world have some sort of pathogen, whether they realize it or not. So it is a good idea that if you can and you have the means to get your plants tested for things you might not be able to see. 2, cleaning your equipment. Now, a common thing that people use to clean their equipment is isopropyl alcohol. You soak your scissors in isopropyl, you think it's all good, the resin's off and all that, but the thing about that is, which they go over in the podcast, is the isopropyl alcohol will actually stabilize, which means help keep these pathogens alive and actually spread them more than if you just went from one plant to the next. They say, I believe the numbers are 75% if you don't clean them with isopropyl alcohol, all the way up to 95% spreadability if you do wash your equipment in isopropyl alcohol. What you can do instead is use a solution of bleach mixed with water and have individual containers with 1 part bleach to 10 parts water, and soak your equipment in that for about 60 or 30 to 60 seconds. I would go for the full minute just to be safe, to make sure everything is dead on there. You really don't want to spread any of these pathogens, and have multiple rounds of scissors so then you always have a clean one. Do not use isopropyl alcohol, use a bleach solution. However, you can keep your isopropyl alcohol to clean your glass. A third tip, a lot of these viruses and infections are going to be able to be spread through the sap. It's going to, basically, the sap is a plant's blood, and you can spread a lot of things through blood, such as STDs and all that good stuff, and it's not a lot different for plants. And if you are using training techniques like low stress training, and I'm guilty of this, which is why I feel like I need to put it in this video, using my bare hands to do low stress training, going from one plant to the next very rapidly, this is actually a great way to spread pathogens in your garden and make your entire garden sick, whether you notice it or not, again. But keeping pathogens out of your garden is going to keep all of your plants healthy. And if you grow multiple different cultivars, multiple different phenos, whether one is resistant and one is not, you're going to have adverse effects on one and not the other. And you could grow something with the resistant plant and still have that pathogen in your garden. It is going to be a great idea to actually wear rubber gloves to replace every single time you go from one plant to another, just as an extra precaution to keep the pathogens out. Always, always, always going from outdoor to indoor. If for some reason you do your outdoor garden first, or even going indoor to outdoor, you want to change your clothes and get clean. Change your shoes, change your clothes, get clean. You never know what you're going to be carrying on your person when it comes to moving from one place to the next. Now, it can be good to think about it if you are walking and there are eggs on the ground that you don't know are there from a pest that you don't want in your garden. Those eggs will then get on your floor. Those eggs will be able to hatch, and a lot of bugs don't need to be taken care of as babies to then go and destroy and wreak havoc on your garden. And especially is the same for mold spores getting in your clothing, intertwined in your threads, and then falling out into another grow environment. It could be worth your time and effort to actually change your clothes when going from one garden to the next, just as an extra precaution to keep these things out. I hope you guys found these tips helpful. I hope I was able to open someone's eyes to the possibilities of spreading pathogens that they don't know were there. I fully advocate for getting all of your plants tested. It is going to be the only foolproof way to keep pathogens out of your garden. And don't worry, if you don't want to grow a plant that has a pathogen, get your seeds tested. You can test your seeds and then still grow them afterwards. It is important to test your seeds so you don't start out with a plant that has a pathogen in the first place. However, if it's too late and you're in the veg stage or even the flower stage, you might as well take the time and spend the money to make sure that that plant is or is not a plant that you want to keep around. But until next time, I have been Cannabis Express 420. If you liked this video, please leave a like. If you are new here and you want to see more cannabis content, please hit subscribe to get notified every time I upload and every time I go live. And please join my live streams and join the conversation. It is a high quality piece of content when everyone contributes. And I will see you next time. Thank you very much.